Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Scott Gold. Well, I just wanted to come on live tonight and do something a little bit different, I guess. I'm here alone, which is a little unusual. I usually come on with a friend, but tonight was a little bit different. And excuse me for 1 second. I have my volume up on my phone. See, this is where my friend comes into play. Usually reminds me of those kinds of things. Anyways, I tonight I was doing something that was pretty hard. I had to say goodbye to my childhood home, the home I grew up in, and the home that had been in my family for 40 years. And my parents decided a while back that it was time to downsize from a very, very large home to a home that was, just had less space, had less to take care of, and it made sense. But I think as a adult, you understand that. But somewhere in your mind, you're still that child, and you still think of that place as home, even though I haven't lived there myself in many years. So they're closing on the house, and I said, would it be all right if I went one last time to look at the house, by myself? I said, sure, because there was, of course, some last minute things, being done and everything, but nobody was going to be there. Everything was going to be emptied out, and I decided I was going to go. And I went, and I really had an emotional time because I had the opportunity to walk through every single room by myself and think about all the different things that happened in the house, all of the special moments, all of the firsts, all of the lasts, all the people that were no longer with us that, once were. And so, anyways, I spent a couple of hours there and I went through every single room and I stopped and I thought about it and, say goodbye. So, I was very lucky, to have the opportunity and, to have a home that I was my family home for my whole life. But in my bedroom, I had a large walk-in closet and I had a whole series of shelves and stuff. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I stood up on my tiptoes and I ran my hand along the very top shelf and on the top down this book. And this book was one of my childhood favorites called this one was just called simply Corduroy. And there was another book by the same author called A Pocket for Corduroy. And I loved both of these books so very much. And my mother would read me a story at night, or when I was young, my nanny, sometimes would. And this was always one of my favorites. So it was like just laying there and for me to find. So, anyways, I was wanting to read through it, and I thought, you know what, maybe somebody else would enjoy hearing it too. So I don't intend to stay on long tonight, but I'm just going to read you Corduroy. So it's a book by Don Freeman, and it goes like this. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I spent too much money already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He lost the button on one of his shoulder straps." Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. He didn't know. I didn't know I've lost a button, he said to himself. Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it. Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut, he locked. Corduroy climbed carefully down from the shelf and began searching everywhere for his button. Suddenly, by accident, he had stepped onto an and up he went. Could this be a mountain? He wondered. I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there, before his eyes, was the most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. This must be a palace, Corduroy gasped. I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace. He wandered around admiring the furniture. This must be a bed, he said. I've always wanted to sleep in a bed. And up he crawled into a large, thick mattress. All at once he saw something small and round. Why, there, my button, he cried, and he tried to pick it up, but like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop, off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled. He toppled, banging onto a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above when he heard the crash. He came dashing down the escalator. Now, who in the world did that? He exclaimed. Somebody must be hiding around here. He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all, and there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. Hello, he said. How did you get upstairs? The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator and sat him on the shelf in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customer came into the store in the morning. And there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. I'm Lisa, she said, and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night, I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home. Shall I put him in a box for you? The saleslady asked. Oh, no, thank you, Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like the enormous palace in the department store. This must be home, he said. I know I've always wanted a home. Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. I like you the way you are, she said, but you'll be more comfortable with the shoulder strap fastened. You must be a friend, said Corduroy. I've always wanted a friend. Me too, said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. So that was Corduroy, and that was definitely one of my very favorite childhood stories. So I just thought that was cute to find that. And, I had found a few other books as well earlier in the moving out process. And the other one was A Pocket for Corduroy, and Curious George, several others, including one that was a lot of fun called Stone Soup. So that's your bedtime story for tonight, boys and girls. I hope you're all doing well out there. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it's not too late. If you have, welcome to the family. I love you for watching.